A while ago, me and my girlfriend wanted to watch a movie. My girlfriend really likes snacks or snacking while we watch the movie. So she was preparing some snacks for us. We already decided our movie, and in the meantime I was scrolling on Facebook. Before I knew it, I bought a new watch. Okay, it was not a crazy expensive watch, but that's not really the point. Here's the thing though. It never really was about the watch or the new watch I bought. Once I really understood what it was about, this buying habit of me, it's kind of compulsive buying in moments of boredom. This was more starting to feel like a symptom of something else, something that is beneath it. A symptom of something that your brain is doing that nobody really ever explains. That's what this video is about. But before I explain what's actually happening, I want you to think about the last time you bought something that felt genuinely exciting and satisfying for longer than one day. Try to hold that answer. I know it's not easy. Try to hold it and I will come back to that. First, a little metaphor. Think about your brain like it's a vending machine. Though if you have ADHD, it can be kind of a broken one. You put in a coin, boredom, restlessness, that low hum of needing something to happen. And then the machine spits out a reward. It can be a purchase, a scroll, a snack, whatever you may like. The dopamine hits and you will feel it for about 10 minutes straight. But then the coin slot opens again. The problem isn't that you keep feeding the machine. The problem is that the machine itself is broken. It takes your coin, as it should, and gives you something in reward. But the reward itself doesn't quite land as it should land in you. So you feed it again. And again and again. And then suddenly you feel surrounded by stuff that you actually don't need, bought from a vending machine that was never stocked with the things you actually need. Like, why I even bought that? And this short-term decision making, I think when you have ADHD, your decision making goes very fast. It's kind of impulsive. And this impulse, that's also what I mean about the symptom. You aren't buying things because you don't feel disciplined. You were feeding a broken machine because your brain is literally unable to create its own dopamine. And this is at a baseline level. The buying itself is a workaround, though a very expensive and sometimes cluttered workaround. If you have a brain like I have, okay, we're all different, I know that, but still, we have some similarities. I am constantly scanning, and I will use another metaphor for this. Imagine you're a radio. You're a radio scanning for a signal, tuning the dial, looking for frequencies. And you're just looking for something that clicks and plays. This is it, now I have it. Though scrolling on social media apps or whatever apps, this is kind of static. Scrolling, for example, gives you static. Buying gives you static. Consuming content, opening apps, switching tabs, whatever, it's all static. The problem is though that it maybe sounds like a signal, but in reality, it's just static. And that's also why you keep reaching for it. You are in static mode, but you keep reaching for that signal, which maybe you never find. But static and signal are two different things. The longer you run on static, it's much harder to find the signal. When I have a super interesting conversation with someone, and we really align in that conversation, not especially about the topic, you're into it. You're really in the conversation. You get sucked in this conversation and it's at a nice speed. It's like the perfect layering and everything goes very smooth. This is signal. You can also have a different experience. When I talk to someone and it's not that interesting, I kind of tune out into static mode. And then I get really easily triggered by social media or Facebook or whatever. I get really triggered in those moments that I'm looking for signal. though going to the apps is still static. You're still in that static state. What you actually really want is a real signal, and that's most of the time connection. Everyone talks about the financial cost of overconsumption. The money, the debt, the subscriptions you've maybe forgot about. But I think there's also a cost that is much harder to measure. And I think for an ADHD brain, it's actually one of the bigger ones. I'll get to that in one moment. Remember, I asked you, when was the last time you genuinely felt satisfied one day after you bought something? No? Well, that isn't surprising, because neither do I. I can't really recall one moment in my life I genuinely felt satisfied for a very long period of time when I bought something new. Maybe I have it with a watch. I literally see that I have the watch. You know, it's practical. I can see the time, which I can also do on my phone. Well, that's also very distracting. That's why I bought the watch. That's the practical part of it. But really the why I wanted to buy it at that moment. So the satisfaction that you feel right when you bought something, or when you even click the buy button, this moment, it never comes back. Imagine your mental capacity is like a bucket. Every object in your space, every subscription that is running, everything you actually own but haven't decided a clear goal for it. Every little micro decision or micro buy you made is a hole in that bucket. A hole is okay, it won't drain so much, but every hole together will drain you constantly. And then you start wondering why you can't focus in the middle of the day. You feel already depleted. Why decision making feels kind of impossible. Sometimes you even feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. Why even the simplest tasks feels impossible to do. No, you're not lazy. I think your bucket is just empty. Actually, the things that you bought to make you feel better are now the holes in the bucket that is draining your life right now. And this is actually the cost that nobody else is talking about. Not the money, it's the mental energy. The mental energy that is running in your background. Because remember, we are scanners. We scan everything in the room. I just own less because it feels genuinely much more peaceful for me, for my mind. So it's not just about the lifestyle, because people talk about owning less, frugality, minimalism. Yeah, it's all cool, it's trendy. When you have ADHD, it's kind of a necessity. I'm a gaming fan. I love to play online games. I am very much into Warhammer. The Warhammer games, like the video games. And I wanted to extend this hobby into the real thing, the Warhammer figurines. So I'm not proud of that, but I kept on buying more figurines. And then I bought paint for them. I even bought like an airbrush. This is all very professional equipment that I really didn't need. I could just paint with a brush, with a normal brush, which I didn't because my brain was buying. And then it hit me. I had this moment where I was looking at all the gray matter, all the gray figurines, not painted yet at all. I think I just painted one figurine and I was drained. I was completely drained from it. I have so much figurines to go through. I can't keep this up. So I put myself so much pressure to buy already so much figurines that I just gave up on them. I was so sick of it, I just sold everything. I put it on a second-hand store. I could sell it for a reasonable price, which I'm happy about. It's not entirely wasted and I could make someone else happy with it. But still, that moment where I could let it go was brilliant for me. It was really a revelation. I could finally have a rest. So I'm not going to try to sell you a no-buy year. I'm not going to tell you to go cold turkey on stuff you want to buy. No, because I know this doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. So when I restrict myself one thing, the vending machine will just find a different route to a different coin slot. So what actually worked for me was not entirely shutting the machine down. And this maybe will sound a bit stupid, but when I have, for example, the urge to scroll on my phone, I just take myself, I bought this box of mints and I just put a mint in my mouth. It's a very simple trick, but it works for me. It's stupid, I know. Sometimes I'm a bit embarrassed about it. The mint, the freshness, the kind of sensation just rewires my brain in a different way, so I don't grab for my phone. You can also add some friction to it. When the friction is so high, for example, I'm sitting in the couch and my phone is in the bathroom. I just give an example, doesn't really matter where it is, but it's far away from me. I kind of am like, I'm not gonna get my phone now. The friction is too high to actually get to my phone. You can also stop letting things go in your house. I make it very, very specific. For example, for me, this was alcohol. I also told my girlfriend, like, don't buy this anymore. This doesn't come in the house anymore. And even when I then feel to buy alcohol, I can just go to a bar or whatever. This kind of friction is also much higher than just having it in your house. And then when the bucket finally starts to stop leaking, for me that was the moment when I decluttered my home. It felt so good to not deal with all that. So restock your vending machine, your symptom, with the things that really fulfill you. Because I noticed when I do the things that really fulfill me, that are really alive in me, I don't have this urge of constantly needing to buy stuff or needing to scroll or needing to kill at that moment. When I'm doing the things I really enjoy, this doesn't even come up in my brain. What lifts up your soul? What ignites your fire? And don't think. That's maybe very hard to explain, but don't think about it. Really try to feel it. And it can be everything. It can be an activity, a kind of a state where you're in, or even a type of moment. For me, for example, I love connecting with people. I love my friends. My friends, when we have a barbecue, when I invite people over, this fills me up with so much energy. And this recharges really my system. And sometimes I'm still figuring that out for myself. So what brings you joy in life? It's not an easy question, and I'm still in the process myself. So don't be hard for yourself. So in the end, the buying was never about this broken vending machine. The scrolling was also never about the content you are watching. It was a broken machine that was just doing its best with the coins it had available. You just ask, what kind of coin I want to spend here? And if the answer is just to feel better, it's probably the wrong answer. And when you really start to understand this loop, why you buy stuff, this for me changed everything. Tell me in the comments, what is your version of this vending machine and spending coins? Maybe it can be scrolling, but also what gives that spark in you. Do something with it. Because I think we have kind of a superpower. I try to read every comment. I'll see you in the next video.